Hello, guys. I am moving my microphone. Might be a little bit of lag. I do apologize. Let's do this. How are we feeling today? Hopefully, you all had a great start trading this week. I'm doing good. Doing good. Feeling a little tired for some reason, but it was a big day. We're gonna talk opportunities and everything as we have always. Just messing around with the stream quality because for some reason it was having a hard time. All right, this should now be better. I'm doing great. Doing great. I had a great start to the week, right? If you guys remember, I was trading a lot more this week, right? Looking to trade even Monday and Tuesday. Can't hear nothing? Unmute me. Pretty much. Can you guys hear me? The other ones? Or is it just Patrick? All right. Patrick, voice and video settings. Hello. That is special. Two people having the same issue. But Alex, you can hear, which means it is working. Awesome. Awesome. All right. But yes, as I was saying, I just wanted to give a quick reminder, right? I was trading Monday and Tuesday, and I mean, it started great, pretty much. Wait, okay, so you used to listen to the sound on the stream. Yeah, I do need to fix that. I've been looking into a few different virtual camera softwares, but I don't want to pay 200 bucks 5 times just to find the right one. So I've been watching some reviews and stuff. I'm just using straight up OBS right now, and there is no way to remove the sound, sadly. Just from our daily chart, right? If we look at Monday and Tuesday, they don't look like the most interesting days. And from a daily chart perspective, I told you guys during the outlook, I'm like, we could go up, we could go down. I need to wait for both assets to be correlated before I can look for a setup for a high probability direction, I guess. But I still have my intraday frameworks, and that's what I've been trading since then. Had a great start to the week, only wins up until today, which we'll look into. Saw 3A setups on Monday, but didn't take any because I wanted to see if market was less volatile. Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, it's a weird one. In times like these, honestly, the best advice I can give to anyone is think less and do more. So I want to trade more, and I know that my setups, like I'm less confident in my setups. So what did I do? I just cut my risk so that losing more trades doesn't matter to me mentally speaking, right? In my psychology. So I cut my risk. That's why I'm half risk for the last 2 weeks now, 2 weeks and a half actually. So I'm just half risk. I take the setups that I see so that I don't have to worry about missing a setup. And if it isn't good and I end up going on a 2-3 losing streak, well, I don't mind because I cut my risk by half. So I really do. This is a big piece of advice, honestly. Think less, trade more. When you say cut your risk, you put half contract or try to make less big of a ratio. Okay, yeah. By risk, it has no relation to the stop loss. It is the amount of money risk I put. So yes, in the terms of futures, we're talking about contracts. I'm fully trading micros right now because my risk is too small to be trading minis and have been since the whole volatility came to the markets quite recently, right? But I have been half risk. I have been fully trading micros. I'm averaging between 5 and 8 micros per trade. So very small risk usually. I try to stick close to 500 bucks. That's what I'm comfortable with. And if you're on prop firms, the equivalent of that would probably be like if we say 150 can't count, I'd probably be risking $300 per trade. Just to give yourself a lot of breathing room so you aren't scared about taking setups that look weird. Because the markets are volatile. They don't look good right now. But it doesn't mean your setup doesn't have the same exact edge as it does. And if you're having a hard time taking them, I just recommend that you cut risk. It makes life easier. But as I was saying, right, just from a higher time frame perspective, nothing is clear for me right now. So I always go towards intraday frameworks. Now, what are those? Well, referring to session liquidity, the current daily candle structure, previous day liquidity. Today, to be honest with you guys, I had a bullish bias just due to what we did overnight going up into London. So we opened, we expanded towards a low. I was framing this as manipulation and then went higher here. This is where I got confused pretty much. So at the end of London, right, if we look at this swing point that was formed, it's like, okay, well, there's a double manipulation. So how can I know which side is it going to go, right? Because I could frame open manipulation to a low distribution. So I could frame some continuation ideas higher, just the same as I can say, oh, okay, well, here, this is just temporary. And then we have our manipulation and distribution. So, right, I always say I look for my trades to align with power of three. But on a day like today, you could frame both sides, except for one very simple fact: relative equal lows. So by adding this and seeing that this, on any given day, any given time, no matter what, this is a high probability objective, because of this, you would look to frame shorts. You guys might have seen on Twitter the post I did that was a long. You had a beautiful long setup framed as a retracement. So we'll look at that too. But to be fair with you guys, it's one of those days where bias is just less clear than other days. Let's look at mechanical logic here. So we gapped way past this level. That's a little bit weird. But we have an inside bar here. Previous day up. Previous day is a down close, right? We look at this. Previous day is a down close. So in this case, bias would be bearish towards previous day low. But I mean, we took out previous day low pretty much at the open, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so pretty much took out previous day low right away at the open. Well, I mean, not pretty much actually, within the first 15 minutes. So in a case like this, you could look for bearish. That is what our mechanical logic tells us. No worries, Chip. Always recording. It's a pleasure, brother. But yes, as I was saying, always bearish. Well, always bearish. Mechanical logic tells us it's bearish. Truth is, no matter what your bias is, we had some nice opportunities, which we'll go and look at right here in our 1 minute chart. We also had 8:30 news here, and we also had 1:30 p.m. news. But as I always say, whenever it's someone talking, right, Fed chair talking, or Powell speaks, whatever it is, right, that's the same thing. Whatever it is, I trade in the morning and make sure I'm out or break even in my trade before the news events come. And if I'm close to break even, I'll just fully close my trade. But right at 9:30, or right at 8:30, sorry, we just consolidated. We had no clear manipulation, no clear direction in this case. So what do? Well, we wait for 9:30 and hope that that gives us a Judas swing we can trade. And here you could say this move lower is a Judas swing, especially with the fact that if we look here, there is some SMT based on the 9:30, right? So it's not a swing low, but wait, where is it? 9:30 is here. At 9:30 did not form the low here. So I saw some SMT. I was probably in the 5-second chart here, to be fair. All that to say, it was a shitty move lower. Can't frame that as a Judas swing. But what can I frame as a Judas swing? So any one that took longs here, I just couldn't take anything because I can't frame this as manipulation, and the news did not cause manipulation. But what we can say is that this move higher is a fake move, a Judas swing, as we like to call them, right? Time-based manipulation. So then you can look for shorts. Doesn't really matter if you were bullish and you tell me that, was there even a setup here? I mean, on the inversion fair value gap here, yeah, definitely. Right? You told me I traded this unicorn. Fair enough. I mean, look at the risk to reward. You would have had an opportunity to take profit, and I believe actually that was your first premium and efficiency here, aligned with the midnight open, which is that level that we see right here. So, I mean, there's a bunch of ways to justify a long. I just don't want to speak on it because for me, that wasn't a good setup, right? Based on our rules, there are too many things missing. But if we look at the setup that came after, the first bearish breaker that we formed during the New York AM session, well, very beautiful setup, right? Moreover, because we have that SMT here. That is the big thing that just put this setup over the top, right? Because when you don't have clear direction, I'm unsure about the higher time frame expansion. It's very hard for me to be confident in setups just because, well, as I said, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm unsure with the direction. So how can I trust that my setup has a high probability chance of reaching my objective? Well, I can't. But then having SMT right at the open here, 15 minutes after the open, I can frame this as a fake move, and it gives you a beautiful textbook unicorn entry. I mean, you don't have to think much more than that. You can just click on the button, and if it doesn't work, well, it was a beautiful setup. In this case, it would have reached your target, which for me, very clear. As I said, always intraday liquidity, London low, but I was also looking for those equal lows, which as you can see, we induced and then went higher. I believe I've said that before. Whenever I have two targets very close to one another, I split my TP in two. So let's just say that I was supposed to take profit 3 contracts here. Let's just call it 50% my position, 3 contracts. Well, I would take off 2 here and then 1 here. Or 1 here and then 2 here, depending on how greedy I feel today, which sometimes I do. But what's important here is that I'm always taking profits here. And if you see that level getting taken out and then price reversing, and you did not at least trail your stop, well, that's honestly, that's just on you. That's some trade management that you have to do. But I mean, if it ends up that you took profit here and then got broken even, that's not a bad scenario. But if we look at this entry, right, and 3-peak array stop loss rule, we have an inversion fair value gap here, your fair value gap for entry, and then that fair value gap, pretty wide stop, right? And just to this reversal range with, of course, London low, that barely gives you enough. But it does, right? What do I always say? It's 1.7. To be profitable with the Rice trading model, you're partial. Well, I mean, you could go for less and actually be profitable, but for me, in my mind, it's to be profitable enough to actually say you're making money and can make this replace anything else you do in life. 1.7. All right, I went pretty far there, but 1.7 R is our minimum for a partial. Honestly, at this point, I would really look for the equal lows, but as I said, I took a partial here, then saw it reversed. I just fully closed the trade myself, so it went super well. But other times, this is where variance kicks in. Why not enter here? What are you showing me? The inversion fair value gap. Fair point. Fair point. I did miss this, and I missed it this morning too. Well, thank you. See, that's what I love about so many of you guys now using the models, or whether you're using it or not, actually sending pictures about it, is you find my mistakes. So the entry wouldn't be here on the candle that first retraced into the inversion fair value gap, because that's the candle that formed the breaker. Well, I mean, it would depend on the order, right? I wasn't really looking at it live, as you might have noticed. I don't do any sort of studying before these reviews. The breaker was formed on that candle, and then the next candle over retraces into it. Let's go in the seconds. Fuck it. Let's go look at what formed first. So, see? Pretty straightforward here. So we traded, formed the breaker, and then went back into it. If you're watching your charts live, you can see what happened first. It doesn't matter, right? Because we don't need to wait for the candle closure to call this a breaker block. But let's just say we did, then your entry would still be valid in the next candle. So no matter if it did or not. Yeah, it broke the low first and then went up. So that gives you, by the way, a very much better trade where I would have even looked to partial here, because that's just, wow. Okay, so the current low of the session, whatever you want to call it, right? It's not really anything at this point in time, but just very clear liquidity to look for a partial at almost 2R, and then London low making it 3.71R. Beautiful. So it's an even better setup than I showcase. And by the way, if you guys are wondering, this is the right setup. The one I showcase is the wrong setup. All right, it's always the first one that shows. I just missed it this morning. So thank you for showing me, Magic. I appreciate that. That RR, yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, so much better setup. Much better setup. No need to even speak about break even or trade management, because it went straight to your partial and then to a further objective. I mean, we can look at different things to partial, but that's just very clear to me. This is all low resistance. There's no defense until this level, and then there's a bunch of stuff we have to expand through that could cause retracements. Pretty straightforward stuff. Very nice. Very, very nice. And then, I mean, the next thing we can speak on is, even though we induced this level, we just took out a point of interest, London low. And then we form a breaker block. Another important thing to point out is you'll see this purple line. Purple for me is London. We have session SMT. Now everyone's calling it that, so I'm going to start calling it that, but it's SMT, but we're looking specifically at session highs and lows, right? It's the same fucking thing. Don't confuse yourself. I'll just call it like that. But SMT with London low. So we have SMT. What time is it? 10 a.m. We just opened a new candle right here. We can look for reversals. And then you have a beautiful breaker block form and an entry. And that's the setup I shared on my Twitter post. And as I told you guys, on days like this, it's very hard to find a successful bias. At least in my book, it was hard for me. But what can you do instead? Well, you can just trade any setups that occur. That's the truth, as long as they are justifiable. So for example, I know that this short setup is A. Why? Because I don't have a clear target, but I have SMT, I have a clear manipulation, I have a perfect entry. Everything is there, even though I don't have a clear drawn liquidity. I can still look for the trade and take profits based on standard deviation levels, session highs and lows, clear liquidity levels with RR. A lot of things align. I did notice though, I think it's one of you guys that sent it, that there was a tiny little fair value gap here. Not on this candle, sorry, on this one. Yes, there is. Motherfucker, I missed it. Okay, so I guess I really wasn't on point today. And I mean, there's even the volume balance here, which I would include. 2.5 standard deviation was right on. Yeah, reached this level and fully reversed for a short amount of time, right? Which we'll talk about, but definitely right. I mean, I'm looking at this now, and I missed that entry myself, right? You might have seen the X post, and I mean, unfortunate for the people who only saw it on X, but that's why you guys are here in the review. Good shit. But I saw this entry, and then I was like, okay, well, 3PD array stop loss rule places my stop at this swing low. So that's not a stop loss. But if I entered here, my stop wouldn't be here, right? It'd be fair value gap for entry, fair value gap here, and then inversion fair value gap. So my stop would be here. So that would have just been a stop loss for me, right? I didn't trade it. I'm one and done, as always. But that would have been a stop loss. So the fact that I actually missed it in the review would have led to a profitable trade. I mean, it's a very good long idea. It's just an entry that didn't work out. And I saw someone in the picture, you place your stop here. I am always a big salesman, I guess is the best way to put it, with the 3PD array stop loss rule, because it's a mechanical way to almost always have a good stop loss. I mean, almost always it is at the right spot. And the amount of times where it just goes barely near your stop, but then fully reverses, gives you a winning trade, it's just wonderful. But see, in cases like these, 3PD array stop loss rule would have been wrong. It would not have worked out. It's an entry pretty much in premium, right? We just had a large expansion, could look for retracement, but mechanically speaking, this is just a loss, sadly. But as I said, if you took the other entry, well, you got lucky today. And if not, if you got stopped out here, you could have looked for a continuation entry here. It would have been unfortunate because you would have been, well, holding on to that trade for a long time. And we'll go look at it here in a second. What I'm saying is that you have another breaker block that formed here. Or I guess this would be the correct range. Sorry, I just have bar chart in the background. That was pissing me off. No for the long. Oh, well, let's go look at it. I think it aligned beautifully with the top, right? Yeah, 2 to 2.5 here, aligning beautifully with the opening range high. But right here, what I'm talking about is after this loss, you have a breaker block that is formed right here, and you can look at this unicorn and enter. And once again, with the 3PD array stop loss rule, let's actually draw out this fair value gap first, keep you guys following. You have fair value gap, then you have fair value gap, with the inversion fair value gap. So you have a pretty nice stop here. And as you can see, even though you're taking an entry pretty far after the move, it still offers pretty decent risk to reward. I mean, I was looking at the opening range high here and just looking to get enough risk to reward, which is pretty much, what is it, 2 handles? A little more than 2. Yeah, 7 handles above opening range high. I can look for that as a clear partial opportunity, of course. Have you ever looked into data for re-entry? Always. Always, always, always. Why? Because it seemed to happen quite a bit that I get stop loss and then it goes to my target. And I got pissed. And truth is, the 3PD array stop loss rule is not always the correct stop loss. But how can you teach experience to someone? How can you teach intuition? It's very hard. It takes months and months and hundreds of hours in front of the charts to be able to recognize when the markets are volatile, when the markets are due for a retracement. Like, see, for me, when I see this, I'm like, okay, it just did a big move. It should make a retracement. So I'm going to give it a little more room. Well, I'm saying this, but I didn't trade that today, so I can't give you guys a real example. But it did happen quite often that I have had these mental thoughts. And truth, well, there is no better mechanical stop loss rule. So I don't want to change it. It's really that. So yes, you lose trades where your idea was right and it did what it should, but it just stopped you out first. And you know what? I don't care, because it pays me so much that I can allow for mistakes like these, or mistakes for losses like these. It's really a question of what kind of trader you want to be. I don't want to be in the top leagues. I don't want to become the best trader alive. I don't want to be even in the top 100. I don't care. I want this thing, the market, to pay me. That's my only job. All right? I want freedom of time and financially. That's all I want. If you guys are here for something else, then good for you. And then you have to optimize every single thing. Every single loss should be tweaked. Every single win should be tweaked to how could I have the most amount of money on that move. And that's not my model. That's the truth. You guys want to make the most results? Don't trade my model. It's not the best. I'm saying that because I know better ways to trade. By better, I mean that make you more money. But I'm not in the money game. I'm in the consistency game. Because I don't want to be scared when all of a sudden the president of the United States comes out with random fucking tariffs to buy back his national debt. I don't want to be scared that it won't make me money. And see, even in the most volatile conditions ever known in these markets, the Rise model paid how much? 28R in a week. Like, fuck me. I can't complain, all right? That's my whole mentality. I've never hidden that from you guys. I mean, I'm looking at this trade and this is fucking ouch. Ouch. There is no way I would not have gotten stopped out break even there. I just want to say. Absolutely no way. Because when I see price expand here, especially after taking out these two highs and closing above, like, dude, my stop loss is going break even. We just consolidated for like 20 something minutes or 14 minutes near my entry. So that's just a great place to go break even. This just reminds me actually that someone opened a ticket. Let me go find it. Nico, who couldn't be here tonight, but he had a question. He said, what are some things that make you get out of a trade before it hits your stop loss? Or when do you move your stop loss before it hits a partial? If you even do occasionally. I really don't like to recommend people to do that because I do it based on intuition and experience. As I just explained, here we just expanded through this high. That's how I trail my stop. So now my stop should be trailed to this level. But I don't move my stop before my stop loss. And I don't want to teach beginners that they can move their stop before their stop loss. Before they get hit or their partial gets hit. But for me, that's just a sign to go break even. Do I care if... See, in this case, it would have been a win. No, I really don't. Because the truth is, this is a psychology rule. This is a rule, a thing that I do, a way to manage my trade so that I can feel more comfortable. It's pure complacency. Once again, if you want the best returns, just trade it mechanically. That's going to be best results overall. But once again, this is just a continuation entry. For me, the really most beautiful short, the most beautiful trade was the short, and not the one I took, the one I missed, but very beautiful there. Very beautiful. And I mean, there's nothing else to add here. Of course, there are long opportunities. Of course, you can probably look for short here, but this is during lunch. I don't trade during lunch. And in the PM session, you might have seen right at 1:30, which is when we had that news of someone talking, it just went straight down. So from that point, there's nothing else I can consider trading, as I don't like trading the power hour. But when we have a very trending PM session, very nice retracements in the power hour. This is something I believe someone actually made a model that you should just look for price to expand in the PM, and when it does, it just trade the opposite direction right at 3. See, pretty decent entry here. They would have had slight drawdown, but more profit. Pretty straightforward. Do you guys have questions about today? Really, for me, it was all about the first trade. And if you took that early long, which was there an entry? Yeah, on that inversion, right here. Well, it's just a loss. It's all good. As I was telling Alex at the beginning of this, right? I prefer to risk less so that I can trade this long and not be scared. And okay, oh, I lost 1 hour. Let's talk as if it's $500. Oh, or no, let's do something more realistic. What would be low risk for you guys on a combine, for example? Let's do 250. All right, so, oh, I lost 250. Okay, too bad, so sad. Oh, and when the next setup comes, I'm not pissed. I'm not FOMOing. I'm just saying, oh, another setup. This is my edge. Let's take it. And now you made probably close, with a partial, probably close to 750, 700. Minus the 250, that's your daily profit. There you go. By risking $250, I'm up almost $500 for the day. Or $500. I mean, what else is there? Since we are respecting the FVG on ES on the daily, are looking back at bearish days, as I said on the daily, as I said in the weekly outlook, I believe, I'm waiting for both assets to be correlated. Currently, they are, right? They're trading lower since today. So now, can we consider Wednesday to be a high probability low of week? Well, it didn't hit anything important. So no, yes, I'm bearish. I'm looking at that order block as a key level. But as I told you, Alex, this is not a time where analysis on the daily chart is very easy to predict. Why? Because it's the first time this ever happened. It's the first time we've seen so much volatility continue day after day after day. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But what do I know? What's going to happen during that day and where my high probability setups would form for each direction. So that's what I'm focused on. It's like if I told you guys, you don't need a bias as long as you always short in discount and long in premium. Whoa. I said the wrong thing. I said it in the opposite way, all right? Redo. Short in premium and long in discount. What I just said is the best way to blow an account the quickest way possible. But see, here we just expanded higher. We're in premium of our range. This is where the high probability shorts will be. This is where the low probability shorts will be. Right? Don't chase. When you say discount and premium is from where to where. I mean, the range we're trading in, right? If you're confused as to what ranges I'm referring, just open a 5 or a 15-minute chart. 15-minute when it's a big range, that's what I like to do, or 5-minute when it's not too much of a big range. So for example, at the open right here, what range were we trading within? Well, you can use from the current high of day. That is a great range to be using. I just thought it was a little more representative to use this. But let's just say you were using the current high of day. Okay, well, I can only short above equilibrium, and I can only long here. Okay, well, you would have taken that first long, which would not have worked out. Then, if we look here, you would have been able to take that second long, in this case, right? Even if we use, right, the current low of day as well for the range, you could have taken the long here. You would have gotten stopped out at the open, right, the long we just discussed. And then you would have looked to short after we took out the opening range high, which is exactly where we reversed, right? There wasn't a setup for me at that level because there was no bearish unicorn and it was too late in the session. But I mean, it's very simple, You don't want bias, this is what I can recommend. But even then, bias told us we should see a bearish day. If we're talking purely statistics, this is what we know. So I prioritize shorts. I don't trade statistics like most people do. I don't look for extensions and retracement levels. I have key points of interest. I know how we interact with them and when we'll interact with them based on statistics. So I just like to align myself with them. If my stats tell me it's going to be a bearish day, I'd like to trade expansion. I'd like to trade distribution. And this tells me that there is a high probability of that happening to the downside. I just couldn't catch that move because it didn't come in a format I can trade. Fair enough. It happens. I still managed to get almost 3R realized, which is plenty for me. Do we have any final questions before we call it a day? We've only been here 30 minutes. I have plenty of time to answer questions. I want to try and keep these basically below 45 minutes. And I know they'd get a lot more views and a lot more engagement on YouTube if I would just prepare them in advance and review them with you guys for like 20 minutes, right? What if I already drew all these things? But I feel like it's important to show you guys the process of what I'm thinking every single minute. Like, okay, why am I taking that short? Not just, oh, there was a short setup and a long setup. No, here's the short setup, and actually I missed it today, so see, funny things like this can happen. But it is a lot of time. And I'm always glad to see you all from start to finish. And I know you guys are listening because I open the futures chart. And even though I don't answer to you guys, I see it. I see the trades you guys take. And it's fucking awesome. Really, really is. I just saw the futures chat. Had to answer someone. Last question. Would you consider London High filled the daily gap? What happened? New day opening gap? Let's see this guy, and let's remove these guys. New day opening gap. Where are you? Let's just give it a background so we can see something. Okay, this guy. Oh, okay, because you mean because it traded within it. So fill for me is 100%. 100% is a fill. But this is an area, right? As I say, it's a magnet. So price is always going to return from it, expand away from it, return to it, expand away from it. It's always going to do some back and forth. It's a big magnet. And it's a point of interest, Alex. So anytime we trade within it and trade out of it, this is a higher time frame point of interest. That's how I interact with it. But that, as I said, new day opening gap is not a big one for me. I like the new week opening gap. And see, in this case, well, we were trading within it. New week opening gap high and low here. So traded into the point of interest. See, that is just another great reason why you should have focused on bearish setups today. I didn't even spot that. Thank you. I guess I was off today. I don't know. You guys see, like, just, I don't want to say the word half-assed, but just looking at the mechanical framework, like not even thinking, and you make money. That's how I am now. I'm a brain dead trader. I trade my model and that's it. I'll take 3R any day. Well said, Speacock. I love that you breaking down for us. It's super helpful and worth it. Awesome. I'm glad I can be of service. There's an NWOG we rejected when Trump tariffs got out. What do you think? I don't know and I don't care. That's the truth, Patrick. Look, I can say this 1,000 times, all right? It doesn't matter to me. I have my model. It works. It makes me money consistently over the last 20 years on multiple different assets. Why would I want more? Why would I want to know that when a news release, we do this and this and this? I don't care about the rabbit hole. You guys can keep it. I'm not an analyst. I'm a trader. That makes sense? For overall direction, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Truth is, I'm going to be lost until we expand in one direction. I do not magic. I do, but not me personally. I have some algorithms running on it, but I don't trade it personally. I tried for a while. I just found that it's not consistently able to provide with setups. Like you have some days where you just consolidate the whole day for CL, and that pisses me off. I like volatility. But I do have some algorithms running with it. Makes sense? All right. Well, we're gonna call it a day here. Small crowd today, but I'm glad to have you guys with us. Thank you. Well, with me. I mean, I'm not multiple people, and it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you all, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Oh, well, actually, I'm thinking, um, okay, what can I do? Tomorrow PA review will be earlier, like very much earlier, because I can't really do it, but I don't want to leave you guys without a PA review. So let's just call it 4:30. And I know a lot of people won't be able to come, and I do apologize. I'm gonna record it. I mean, it's 4:30 or nothing for tomorrow. So I think you guys will enjoy 4:30 a lot more than nothing. Fresh beginners, those PA reviews are really helpful, even if I don't understand everything. I'm glad they can help you a little bit. Silicon, look, I hope you got started by watching the Rise Model video, because that's going to give you a lot of insight right off the bat. And truth is, the more you hear it, the more you look at charts, everything's going to become clear. I don't do mentorships anymore because it's not worth it anymore. I spend countless hours showing you guys day in, day out, everything that you need to succeed. Keep showing up, Sulkin. That's all you have to do, and you'll see. The more you watch PA reviews, yes, sir, exactly, Patrick. You know what, guys? I started doing these because that's exactly what I wanted when I was a beginning trader. I didn't want somebody sharing their fucking model, showing me how much money it made. I wanted to know day in, day out what that system provided, wins and losses. And that's what you guys get with me. You all have a good one. As always, as I said, appreciate you guys a lot. Good friend of Emil, that's awesome. All right. I'm super ecstatic to see everything you guys say. All right. I'm very happy this is extremely helpful to you guys. I wish you all a great night. All right. We'll see each other tomorrow. Always a pleasure.